All right, guys. Wanted to show you the final product on this hex core Tesla style Android radio for my 2006 LX470. I think it's the same unit that would be used on Land Cruisers with nav, but don't quote me. Um, anyway, this is a replacement for the unit that I had, which was the quad core, which is sitting there on the floor waiting to be boxed up and sent back. That one was basically just garbage. Processor is a dog, won't run any modern apps, um, just basically worthless. Nothing worked correctly. So the manufacturer agreed to take that one back, and I paid about $100 extra for this and installed it tonight. The beauty of it is all of the harnesses were direct plug-ins from there. I didn't even have to take the harnesses out of the bag for the replacement. It was as plug and play as anything I've ever done. Getting the wires back in behind the unit kind of sucks. There's not a lot of space back there. I have scratches and cuts all up and down my hands and arms, but that's just the price you pay. You can see the vents are actually the kind of burled wood. It doesn't match perfectly. You can see that there's a slightly redder tint to the vent covers on the new unit, but frankly it is close enough for government work, and I'm really happy with the way they look, especially compared to the gray plastic ones that came with the previous unit that I had in here. So anyway, I'll start it up. You can see how long the startup time is. Startup is still a bit of an annoyance because it does take about 15 to 20 seconds to actually hit operation, and you get to look at a yellow Lamborghini in the meantime, which is bizarre, but probably something that I can fix. The rear view camera does work while all of this is happening. It's the middle of the night here. It's about 1:30 in the morning, so what you're seeing is a very poorly lit carport about 50 feet from the main house, so there's not a lot of light back there other than what the reverse lights are giving me, but the picture is clear. Guess you can't really see very well, but it should give you an idea. And the unit comes to life. One thing I've noticed is that the AC controls do not tend to respond. Oh, let me mute that. I'm giving away all the good stuff. The AC controls stay dark until you actually interact with them somehow. Just change the temperature one way or the other, and then they turn on and everything's fine. It's fully functional from the time you start the car up. The HVAC works back on whatever setting you had when you turned it on or turned it off last. So anyway, I'm going to show you the home screen here. I have installed a loader called, I believe it's called Car Launcher. You can find it in the Google Play Store. There's a Pro version that has extra functionality. I don't know exactly what the difference is. I do have the Pro version. It was only $1 or $2, and it's a good enough app that I immediately installed it over the system launcher that came with it, which is clunky and really not all that useful. So anyway, this allows you to customize it with whatever apps you want here on the home screen. It'll use your GPS speed. You can also sync with a Bluetooth OBD reader for apps like Torque, although I've had an issue running Torque on this one, and I'll show you that in a minute. The screen doesn't respond for some reason. I may have to find a different app if I can't figure out what's going on with that. But anyway, I'll show you real quick what's going on. So here's your home screen. I have installed Poweramp as my default music player. Here on the top row, it does come with a set of default apps, including this music app, which I don't like. It doesn't give you the option to sort your library or do anything other than basically view a completely disorganized list. I'll show you really quickly of all the files. Let me pause that so that YouTube doesn't ban me for copyright. So anyway, so you can see all of my music. I've got a 500 gig hard drive sitting in the glove box right now, connected through USB, and all of the folders on there are normally organized under the artist and then all of the albums, which is pretty logical way to do things, but this just gives you all of your folders in no particular order. There's a folder for the artist, and then all of the subfolders are just displayed by default, which is a terrible way to navigate. So I have installed Poweramp like I showed you there, and I'll show you how that works. I highly recommend it. I've had several Android units over the years in different cars. I had one in a Jeep Wrangler. I have one in my '87 Porsche 944, and Poweramp is by far the most useful amp or music player that I've come across. So I'll show you that one really quickly. There's an issue right now with the screen size in that normally there should be a scroll bar so you can advance to certain points in the song if you want to. Right now all I have is the ability to move forward and back, and that's just done with a swipe, which is a really nice way of going to the next song or the previous song without having to really spend any time looking at the screen. So I'll show you how that works. So here's the track playing, and to move to the next one you just swipe it one time and again, and as many times as you want basically. The sound quality is really fantastic. It's a lot better than the OEM system. I think this is putting out more watts to the amp, which is giving it a cleaner signal. You will want to adjust in the console. This is where you control the original Mark Levinson amp. This is where you'll actually interface with the Lexus side of things or the Toyota side of things, if that's what you've got. There's a button here on this one that's for amp info, and you go in there. The front to rear and left to right is on a weird scale of 0 to 14. I assume that's just how the amp was engineered and not really ever intended to be used by us. So set that on 7, right between 0 and 14 obviously, and that'll give you down the middle balance, front to right and front to rear and left to right. ASL is stuck on with mine. I don't know if that's by default or if it was just on when I removed the original one, but for whatever reason I cannot turn it off. I don't care enough to really spend much time looking into it. You can adjust the bass, treble, and mid here. There are several places to do that. It can be a little confusing because there's an equalizer also that has separate bass, treble, and mid controls, which do not necessarily match with what you see here. So there are several places to adjust sound quality. It's one of the quirks of this system, and I don't think there's any way around it. And then Poweramp adds its own equalizer as well, which has a lot more customization, and that will again equalize the signal another time. So it's really going through 3 or 4 different processes of equalization before it gets to the amp, but the end result is good. Really happy with the sound quality, and that was important to me, making sure that whatever I installed sounded as good or better than the original system, and this absolutely exceeds everything I expected, to be honest. So let me go ahead and pause this music because I'm sure you're all a little tired of listening to the dead. Let's see. I've lost my pause button. I'll tell you what, I'll go straight into the movie. There we go. And this is again on my local hard drive. I've got videos and movies, and I like to have music videos with me. I take some road trips, and it's always nice to have a few hours of music just kind of playing in the background, and this will play regardless of what you're doing. You can go to the navigation app, you can go to the home screen. Occasionally there will be a little bit of a blip when it switches from one to the other, but the audio will continue playing from your video source. When you go to navigation, it usually cuts out for this first time. The first time you open the navigation with the video on, you'll get about a second pause like that. But now you can see I've got Google Maps running, and it connected immediately. Strong GPS signal. I'm going to turn the music down. And like I say, you can customize your home screen with whatever navigation app you want. I've got Waze here. I'll probably add Google Maps. I've just finished installing this, so I haven't really adjusted any of the apps or any of the customizations. But I know a lot of people were eager to see how this thing works, and the answer is, so far, it works great. I couldn't be happier. Radio is also clear. I'll show you that real quick. You can see it does activate the power antenna when it comes on. Oh, and look at that. I mean, perfect timing. So, if you have any questions, if there's anything you want me to show you, any settings, any questions you have on yours, if you're having issues installing yours, I may be able to help. It's pretty straightforward once you get everything plugged in. It just, it's a lot of fiddling, but it's a very cool system. Very happy with it. And like I say, if you have any questions, either shoot me a DM or post them on the thread, and I will answer what I can. I will be out of town for a few days next week, but we'll get back to you as soon as I can.